I never thought I'd be the kind of person to completely cut my parents out of my life. Growing up, I always believed that family was everything, that no matter how bad things got, you stuck together. But sitting here now, at 21 years old, looking at the blocked numbers on my phone and the restraining order paperwork on my kitchen table, I realize some bridges need to be burned to protect yourself from the people who were supposed to love you most. My name is Grace, and this is the story of how my father's relentless cruelty finally pushed me to my breaking point and how I found the strength to walk away forever. It started when I was 15. That's when my dad's jokes about my body began. Before that, I was just his little girl, the one he'd push on the swings at the park and call his princess. But something changed when I hit puberty. Suddenly, every meal became a minefield of comments. "Are you sure you need seconds?" he'd ask, even though I was barely finishing my first plate. "Maybe you should skip dessert tonight, Grace. Your jeans are looking a bit tight." The irony wasn't lost on me, even as a teenager. My father, at 5'5" and pushing 240 pounds, would make these comments while polishing off his third helping of mashed potatoes. His belly would strain against his shirt as he leaned back in his chair, pointing at my perfectly normal, healthy body and finding fault with every curve. I was 5'3" and 110 pounds. I ran track. I did yoga. I was healthier than most adults I knew, yet somehow, in my father's eyes, I was never thin enough, never good enough. My mother would sit there, silent, pushing food around her plate, never once defending me. Sometimes I'd catch her giving me these pitying looks, but she never said a word. Her silence hurt almost as much as his words. The comments escalated over the years. By the time I turned 18, family dinners had become torture sessions. "Grace is getting a bit thick around the middle, isn't she?" he'd announce to whoever would listen. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family, friends. "Better watch out or no boy will want to date you." I'd excuse myself to the bathroom and cry, splashing cold water on my face before returning to the table with a fake smile. I learned to eat before family gatherings, surviving on water and small bites during the actual meals to avoid giving him ammunition. But it was never enough. If I didn't eat, I was being dramatic. If I did eat, I was letting myself go. Everything changed when I met David during my freshman year of college. He was everything my father wasn't: kind, supportive, and genuinely caring. When he looked at me, he saw beauty where my father saw flaws. For the first time in years, I started to believe that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the disgusting creature my father made me out to be. David noticed the way I tensed up whenever my phone rang with my parents' ringtone. He saw how I'd push food around my plate after particularly nasty phone calls with my dad. 3 months into our relationship, I finally broke down and told him everything. We were sitting in his dorm room, and I just couldn't hold it in anymore. "My dad calls me fat," I whispered, the words feeling like betrayal even as they left my lips. "He has my whole life, even though he's the one who's actually overweight." David's face went through a series of emotions: shock, anger, then a protective fury that made me feel safer than I'd felt in years. He pulled me into his arms and held me while I sobbed out years of pain and humiliation. "You're perfect," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Grace, you're absolutely perfect. And the fact that your father can't see that that's his failure, not yours." But knowing something intellectually and believing it emotionally are two different things. I still dreaded family events, still felt my stomach drop whenever my dad's name appeared on my phone screen. David offered to come with me to family dinners, thinking his presence might temper my father's behavior. How wrong we were. The first dinner David attended was my cousin's birthday party. We walked in holding hands, and I felt a surge of confidence with him beside me. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe my father would behave himself with my boyfriend there. We hadn't even made it through appetizers when it started. "David," my father said, his voice carrying across the table, "you must be a confident young man, dating our Grace. She's not exactly a supermodel, is she? More like a supersized model." He laughed at his own joke, his belly jiggling with the motion. The table went silent. David's hand found mine under the table, squeezing tight. I could feel him trembling with barely controlled anger. "I think Grace is the most beautiful woman I've ever met," David said, his voice steady but cold, inside and out. My father snorted. "Well, love is blind, they say. Just wait until the honeymoon phase wears off. You'll see what I see, a girl who can't control herself around food." I pushed my untouched plate away, my appetite completely gone. My mother, as always, said nothing, just stared at her napkin like it held the secrets of the universe. That night, David was furious. I'd never seen him so angry. He paced around his apartment, fists clenched, struggling to understand how a father could treat his daughter that way. "How long has this been going on?" he demanded. "How long has he been doing this to you?" "Since I was 15, I admitted. Maybe earlier. But that's when I really started noticing." 6 years, he said, his voice hollow. 6 years of this abuse, and your mother just sits there?" I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. "We need to do something," he said. "This isn't normal, Grace. This isn't okay. This is abuse." The word hung in the air between us. Abuse. I'd never thought of it that way before. It was just dad being dad, wasn't it? Just his way of showing concern, even if it was cruel and misguided. But hearing David say it out loud, calling it what it was, something shifted inside me. Over the next few weeks, David's parents invited me to several family dinners. The contrast was staggering. His mother, Linda, would heap food on my plate with genuine affection, telling me I needed to eat more, that I worked too hard. His father, Robert, would compliment my appearance, telling David he was a lucky man. Normal, healthy family interactions that left me in tears of gratitude. This is what family is supposed to be like, David told me one night as we helped his parents clean up after dinner. Supportive, loving, accepting. What your father does, that's not love. Grace, that's control and cruelty. I started seeing a therapist at David's urging. Dr. Martinez helped me understand that my father's behavior wasn't about me at all. It was about his own insecurities, his own self-hatred projected onto me. But understanding didn't make it hurt less. If anything, it made me angrier. All those years of pain, of self-doubt, of skipping meals and crying in bathroom stalls, all because my father couldn't face his own demons. The next family gathering was my parents' anniversary dinner. David came with me again, despite my protests. You shouldn't have to face him alone, he insisted. I'm your partner. We're a team. This time, my father didn't even wait for the main course. Grace, you're looking particularly robust tonight, he said, his eyes glinting with malice. David, you might want to get her a gym membership for Christmas. Trust me, it's an investment in your future. You don't want to wake up next to a whale in 10 years. That's when I snapped. 6 years of silence, 6 years of taking it, 6 years of being the good daughter who never talked back. It all came crashing down in that moment. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. You know what, Dad? My voice was shaking, but it was loud, filling the entire restaurant. You're right. Someone at this table does need a gym membership, but it's not me. His face went red. Excuse me? You heard me, I said, my voice gaining strength. You're 240 pounds at 5'5". You can't walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded. You haven't seen your feet in years. And you have the audacity to call Emmy fat? I'm 110 pounds. I run 5 miles every morning. I'm healthier at 21 than you've been in the last 20 years. The restaurant had gone quiet. Other diners were staring. My mother was white as a sheet. But I wasn't done. You've tortured me since I was 15 years old. 15, a child, your own daughter. You've made me hate my body, hate myself, all because you hate yourself. Well, I'm done. I'm done letting you project your insecurities onto me. I'm done crying in bathrooms. I'm done skipping meals to avoid your comments. I'm done. I was crying now, angry tears streaming down my face. David stood up beside me, his arm around my shoulders. We're leaving, he announced. And Grace won't be subjected to this abuse anymore. My father laughed. That cruel, mocking laugh I'd heard so many times. Abuse? I'm just trying to help her. If she can't handle a little constructive criticism. Constructive? David's voice was ice. There's nothing constructive about what you do. You're a bully, and you're attacking your own daughter because you're too much of a coward to face your own problems. We left then, walking out while my father shouted after us about disrespect and ungrateful children. My mother finally found her voice, calling after me to come back to apologize. But I kept walking. I was done apologizing for existing. The next few days were a blur of phone calls. I didn't answer and texts I deleted without reading. My father left voicemails oscillating between rage and fake concern. My mother sent long messages about family being important and forgiveness being divine. I ignored them all. Then, a week later, a package arrived at my apartment. I should have known better than to open it, but some naive part of me hoped it might be an apology. Maybe my outburst had finally gotten through to them. Maybe they understood now how much they'd hurt me. Inside was a garbage bag with holes cut out for arms and a head. A note was attached in my father's handwriting. Thought this might be more your size for your birthday next month. It's stretchy, so you can grow into it, Dad. I stared at it, my hands shaking. David found me like that an hour later, still holding the bag, tears dried on my cheeks. That's it, he said, taking the bag from my hands and throwing it in the trash. This ends now. But my father wasn't done. 2 weeks before my 21st birthday, he somehow got access to my social media and found links to my personal blog where I posted my artwork and creative writing. I'd always been artistic, using drawing and writing as an escape from the pain at home. My characters were strong, confident women who stood up for themselves, everything I wished I could be. He sent me screenshots with his comments. Your characters are all thin and beautiful. Wishful thinking? You'll never be as perfect as your imaginary friends. Maybe if you spent less time fantasizing and more time at the gym, you wouldn't need to create a fantasy world where you're actually attractive. That cut deeper than any comment about my weight ever had. My art was sacred to me, the one place where I felt truly free and confident. He'd invaded that space and poisoned it with his cruelty. David held me while I sobbed that night, my whole body shaking with the force of my pain and anger. His parents, Linda and Robert, came over when they heard what happened. Linda was furious in a way I'd never seen her. This sweet, gentle woman who baked cookies for the neighborhood kids was ready to drive to my parents' house and give them a piece of her mind. "No parent should ever treat their child this way," she said, holding my hands in hers. "Grace, honey, you're family to us now. You don't need them. You have us." Robert nodded, his usually jovial face serious. "We've watched you for 2 years now, Grace. You're a beautiful, talented, kind young woman. The fact that your father can't see that's his loss." Their words meant everything to me, but they also made me realize something. I'd been waiting for my father to change, to suddenly see me the way David's parents did. But he never would. He was too broken himself, too consumed by his own self-hatred to ever truly love me the way a father should love his daughter. My 21st birthday was approaching, and David's parents insisted on throwing me a party. Nothing huge, just close friends and family, their family, since mine had become too toxic to include. We were at their house planning the final details when my phone rang. It was my mother. I almost didn't answer, but Linda encouraged me to. "Maybe she's ready to stand up for you," she said hopefully. I should have known better. "Grace," my mother's voice was strained, "your father and I want to come to your birthday dinner. We heard David's parents are hosting, and we think it's important for family to be there." "How did you even know about that?" I asked, my heart sinking. "It doesn't matter. We're your parents. We have a right to celebrate our daughter's birthday. You lost that right when Dad sent me a garbage bag as a birthday present," I said, my voice flat. "Oh, Grace, that was just a joke. You know how your father is. He doesn't mean anything by it." "A joke?" I laughed bitterly. 6 years of calling me fat is a joke? Humiliating me in front of my boyfriend is a joke? Attacking my artwork is a joke? "You're being dramatic," she said. And I could picture her pursing her lips the way she always did when she thought I was overreacting. "Your father loves you. He just wants what's best for you." "What's best for me is to never see him again," I said. "You don't mean that." "I absolutely do." There was a pause. Then her voice turned cold. "If you don't invite us to your birthday dinner, we'll just show up anyway. The Miller's address is public record. We're your parents, Grace. You can't just cut us out of your life." I hung up on her. That night, I made a decision. If they wanted war, I'd give them war, but I'd do it my way. I spent the next 3 days preparing. I put together a gift basket for my father, workout pamphlets, healthy eating guides, contact information for therapists who specialized in narcissistic personality disorder and projection, and a brutally honest letter. I printed out every cruel text he'd sent me over the years, every nasty voicemail transcript, every hateful social media comment. I compiled them into a book titled How to Lose Your Daughter in 6 Years, a guide by a failed father. The letter was the hardest thing I'd ever written. I went through dozens of drafts, each one pouring out years of pain and anger. David sat with me through each revision, holding me when I cried, encouraging me when I wanted to give up. This was the final version. "Dad, you've spent 6 years telling me I'm not good enough, that my body is wrong, that I'm disgusting and unlovable. You've done this while carrying 240 pounds on your 5'5" frame, unable to walk without losing your breath, unable to see your own feet. The irony would be funny if it hadn't destroyed my self-esteem for so long. I'm 110 pounds at 5'3". I'm healthy, active, and strong. I have a boyfriend who loves me, future in-laws who treat me like their own daughter, and friends who value me for who I am, not what I look like. I have talents and dreams that have nothing to do with my weight. I am worthy of love and respect, things you've never given me. You're a hypocrite and a bully. You've projected your own self-hatred onto me since I was a child, and I'm done being your emotional punching bag. You're the one who needs help, not me. You're the one who needs therapy, not me. You're the one who needs to change, not me. This is goodbye. Don't contact me. Don't show up at my birthday. Don't try to force your way back into my life. You're not my father anymore. You're just a man who contributed DNA and then spent years trying to break me. You failed. I'm still here, still standing, still strong, and I'm done with you. Grace. P.S. Mom, your silence was compliance. You watched him abuse me for years and did nothing. You're just as guilty, and you're just as cut off. You both brought me into this world, but you're not my parents anymore. I had the basket and letter delivered to their house by courier, requiring a signature so I'd know they received it. Then I blocked their numbers, blocked their social media, and instructed the venue for my birthday party to put them on a do not admit list. The day of my birthday arrived, and for the first time in years, I felt free. The party was beautiful. Linda had outdone herself with decorations, and the restaurant's private room was filled with people who actually loved me. David gave a toast that had me in tears, talking about my strength, my kindness, my beauty inside and out. His parents gave me a necklace that had belonged to Linda's mother, officially welcoming me to their family. We were about to cut the cake when they walked in. I don't know how they got past security, but there they were, my parents, standing in the doorway like dark clouds threatening to ruin a perfect day. My father looked worse than I'd ever seen him, his face red with rage, his breathing labored from the exertion of whatever scene he'd caused to get in. My mother stood beside him, her face a mask of false concern. "We have every right to be here," my father shouted, his voice filling the room. "She's our daughter." The room went silent. David immediately stood, moving to position himself between me and them. Robert was already on his phone, calling security. "You need to leave," David said, his voice calm but firm. "You're not welcome here." "You don't get to tell me what to do, boy," my father spat. "Grace, we need to talk. This has gone too far." "There's nothing to talk about," I said, standing on shaky legs. "I told you not to come. I made it very clear. You sent me a basket full of insults," he roared, calling me fat, telling me I need therapy. "You ungrateful little..." "The truth hurts, doesn't it?" I shot back, my voice stronger than I felt. "Not so fun when you're on the receiving end, is it?" Security arrived then, two large men who looked like they meant business. "Sir, ma'am, you need to leave. Now." My mother started crying, reaching out toward me. "Grace, please. We're your parents. We love you." "No," I said, my voice breaking. "You don't. If you loved me, you wouldn't have let him torture me for 6 years. If you loved me, you would have protected me. If you loved me, you wouldn't be here right now, ruining my birthday after I explicitly told you to stay away." My father tried to push past security, but they held him back. "You'll regret this," he shouted as they escorted him out. "You're nothing without us. You're nothing but a spoiled, ungrateful brat who can't handle the truth about herself." The door closed behind them, and the room was silent for a long moment. Then Linda started clapping, slowly, deliberately. Others joined in, and soon the entire room was applauding. I broke down crying, and David held me while his parents and our friends surrounded us in a group hug. "You did it," David whispered in my ear. "You stood up to them. You're free." But I wasn't quite free yet. They showed up at my apartment 3 days later. I was coming home from class when I saw them waiting by my door. My father had lost weight, not much, but enough that his clothes hung differently. My mother looked exhausted, aged years in just a few days. "Please," my mother said before I could speak. "Just hear us out." "You have 2 minutes," I said, not moving from the hallway, my phone ready to call 911 if needed. "We want to apologize," my father said, the words sounding foreign in his mouth. "We've been thinking about what you said, and maybe we were too harsh." "Too harsh?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You called me a whale. You sent me a garbage bag as a birthday present. You attacked my art, my relationships, my entire existence. That's not harsh. That's abuse." "I was trying to help you," he said, and I could see him struggling to maintain his composure. "I didn't want you to end up like you," I finished. "Newsflash, Dad, I never would have. I'm nothing like you. I don't hate myself so much that I need to destroy everyone around me to feel better." "That's not I don't." He was floundering, his face getting redder. "You do," I said simply. "You hate yourself, and you've been taking it out on me since I was 15. Well, I'm done being your punching bag. I'm done letting you make me feel worthless. I'm done." "We can change," my mother said desperately. "We can go to family therapy." "It's too late for that," I said, my voice steady now. "You had 6 years to change. 6 years to stop him, to protect me, to be the parents I needed. You chose not to. Now I'm choosing to protect myself." "You're really going to cut us out of your life?" my father asked, and for the first time, he sounded genuinely shocked. "Over a few comments about your weight?" "A few comments?" I pulled out my phone, opening the folder where I'd saved screenshots. I have 247 screenshots of cruel texts, 83 voicemail recordings of you calling me fat, disgusting, unlovable, 6 years of systematic emotional abuse. So yes, I'm really cutting you out of my life. We're your parents," my mother said weakly. "No," I said, feeling a strange calm wash over me. "You're just 2 people who happened to bring me into this world. Parents love their children. Parents protect their children. Parents build their children up, not tear them down. You're not my parents. You haven't been for a long time." I walked past them to my door, my hands steady as I unlocked it. "Don't contact me again. Don't show up here again. If you do, I'll file a restraining order. I have enough evidence of harassment to make it stick." "Grace," my mother started. "Goodbye," I said, stepping inside and closing the door. I heard them standing there for a few more minutes, my father muttering angrily, my mother crying. Then, finally, footsteps walking away. I slid down the door, sitting on my floor, and let myself cry not from sadness, but from relief. David found me there an hour later when he came over with takeout for dinner. He sat down beside me, pulling me against him. "They came by?" he asked. I nodded. "They wanted to apologize." "Sort of." "Not really." And I told them goodbye. For real this time. He kissed the top of my head. "I'm proud of you." "I feel guilty," I admitted. "They're my parents. Shouldn't I feel worse about cutting them off?" "You feel guilty because you're a good person," he said. "But being a good person doesn't mean letting people hurt you, even if those people are your parents. Especially if those people are your parents." That was 3 months ago. Since then, I've continued therapy, dealing with years of trauma and learning to love myself the way I always should have. David proposed last week, and Linda and Robert will be walking me down the aisle since my biological parents won't be invited. I've published some of my artwork online and received incredible support from strangers who've never met me but show me more kindness than my father ever did. My father sent one last email before I blocked that address too. It was short. "You'll regret this when we're gone." Maybe I will. Maybe someday I'll wish I'd tried harder, been more forgiving, given them another chance. But right now, I'm healthier than I've ever been, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I can eat a meal without anxiety. I can look in the mirror without hearing his voice. I can exist in my body without shame. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from the people who hurt you, even if those people gave you life. Because what's the point of life if you're not actually living it? What's the point of family if they make you feel alone? I'm 21 years old, 110 pounds, 5 feet 3, healthy, happy, and free. My father is 46 years old, 240 pounds, 5'5", miserable, and alone. He spent 6 years trying to convince me that I was the one with the problem. Turns out the only weight I needed to lose was him. And I've never felt lighter,